Well, hello everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of MBTV News from Meta World Broadcasting, as it were. Used to be called Meta World News, but now it's MBTV News because it goes with my initials as well. You see.
Hmm.
Oh dear, some stupid little anecdote to get me started. Anyway, my name is Mal Burns. You can. You've always been able to find me on Twitter. Since I was a beta tester, roughly nearly, well, it must be 17, 18 years ago, I think. I got, it must have a long while ago, anyway. Back when Twitter had a purpose, if nothing else. A bit like the early web, really. But we'll get to that in a bit because it will have to be said this week. Um, anyway, you'll find me on Twitter at twitter.com/malburns.
Are you still
Um,
there?
I am.
Okay. You haven't
Oh,
been kicked out or ostracized in some way?
oh, what's at Twitter?
Yeah, I'm just being skeptical about Twitter.
Oh yeah, well actually I sort of have, which is why I've said more on that later.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a bit awkward. Well, I'll get to it when I get to it. Um, yeah, so you can also find me on Mastodon. Now there are two ways to find me on Mastodon. I'm just going to refresh my thing. I'm at social.vivaldi.net, Vivaldi as in the browser, which I use, and then the at symbol Mal Burns, and it's MAL with a capital M, and then BURNS with a capital B, but no space. Just like Twitter, it gets me squashed, when you're following the link. And of course, the one you're more familiar with is at MetaWorld at Mastodon Social. I have several others too. Um, those are the two ones you really need for general stuff. I have a non immersive one elsewhere, and then I have two more for Open Simulator in one form or another, and I even have one for Second Life.
Wow.
So I actually have seven Mastodon feeds as opposed to three Twitter ones. Um, Surely nothing could go wrong. It's unlikely to. What I would say is that the four letter word people who've launched a thing called Threads, which already exists, but they didn't apparently know that, um, have well, they're having had millions of people sign up for it with their Instagram accounts. Apparently, 75% haven't gone back. Which proves that it wasn't actually doing what a lot of people were hoping it would do, which is exactly what the old Twitter did. But we'll see. But that Threads thing is actually anticipating connecting to the open source system for Mastodon. But it's very hard for me to see how a company like Facebook are going to actually have a product that it adheres to all the open source etc. requirements. So we'll find out as time goes by, no doubt.
Hmm.
Anyway, I'll get back to. I meant to make up a slide, but I didn't have time today. Something I had network problems, so I was going to make up a slide with all the new addresses on them that I could put on screen, but that will have to wait till next week. But for now, I'll get on with everything, and I'm going to use Reader View in my Safari browser here to, show you the headlines that both, as I say, some of them get to Twitter and some of them are still on Mastodon, and it gets around anyway. But I'm going to go through them. So you should find most of them by following me on Twitter or going to that vivaldi.net Mal Burns account. Right, so the first one I got on screen, you've probably seen it already, looking around in the background here. Apple reportedly departs from tradition with the creation of a dedicated XR product team. I know. I didn't at first understand what is a departure from tradition here, but apparently it's just that Apple don't really have special dedicated product teams, whereas for XR products they've actually created a dedicated team. So obviously the Vision Pro headset, but also the apps that are going to go on it, and indeed the operating system with Vision Pro OS or whatever it's called. So I found this report about it. There's a few places actually, but this is roadtovr.com. So roadtovr.com slash, well, no, stop at com. You'll find, they don't do too many articles. You'll find the article on the front page, I'm sure. Right, right. So another regular one here. The Exile Wheat Peak, which is from Scar Ghost, Anthony Portillo, and a piece of music that sometimes goes like this. I did that one well, didn't I? Cue the
Yeah.
music. Yes, okay. So Roblox is coming to Quest. Google has an unclear XR vision and more. I actually read that obviously that movie is on my mind at the moment. I actually read that Google has a nuclear vision,
Oh, okay.
an unclear vision. It's only two letters just opposed,
Yeah,
remember, so
yeah.
it's easy to do. Yeah, so yeah, Roblox is going to be on the four-letter words. People tell me the Quest. The Quest is called. Yes, forgetting the prefix. Not much to say about that. I think we actually mentioned this last week anyway. Um, Trying to make PSVR2 work with Steam VR and different gadgets. Um, and some reports on the EU, which is interesting. I'm coming to those in a minute, actually. Um, okay, yes, that's actually quite a good stuff there. Okay. Um, right, okay. So SKARREDGHOST.com for that roundup, regular one every week, of course. And let's dispose of the Apple bit there. Right, so this is incidental, really. I mean, but virtual worlds that have a bit in common with gaming. There's a game called Assassin's Creed, and they've created a haptic T-shirt, which well, they say it makes you exclusive sensations, but you've never felt before. But some of the less polite things saying that if your combatant in Assassin's Creed thumps you in the stomach hard, you really feel it. So I don't know that I really want one of these. It's bad enough Griefers come around, but when they actually come and thump you in the chest and you feel it in real life through your jacket, oh, well, anyway, uh, it's definitely intimate, as they say. It's probably a good job it stops at the jacket. Anyway, I'm sure they'll come up with the rest of the costume in due course. What can I say really? It's just interesting because it's more the sort of haptic input devices, particularly for a game at the moment. But who knows where it's going? We've got gloves, jackets, belts, shoes, the works really. If necessary, you can probably kit yourself out. As far as I know, you can't actually still buy the original vision of like a skin tight lycra suit with electrodes all over it on your whole body as well as on your head and everything else like that. And although all that stuff's coming along, and I don't think anybody's actually marketed what I always thought would come along, which is the lycra costume. But anyway, I'm sure it will eventually. Anyway, for the moment, something to avoid,
Hmm?
I think, unless you really like being thumped in the stomach in IRL, because apparently the sensation is pretty much the same. So, word of warning there, I guess. Okay, moving on to businessinsider.com. This is well, sure you all know how to spell business, and then you add insider to that, and then a .com. Right. I'm not spelling it for you. A warning from a Microsoft data center veteran. Uh, I don't know whether, as if we didn't know this already, but it is a timely reminder. The cloud uses massive amounts of energy, and they're saying that generative AI, in other words, your fancy AI stuff that you're getting now, will actually be worse. So it will be using up more energy than the actual data centers themselves use to run the servers. And well, um, Microsoft is a backer of OpenAI, which figures really. They came up with stuff earliest for Windows, didn't they? Um, Basically, it's the number crunching, I guess. To wasn't I? Oh, hang on, I was too far down the page, wasn't I? So much for my link. Um, yeah, there's a lot of controversy about AI, as I guess we all know, and this is another side to it, really. I mean, I haven't actually seen major people out on the streets having demonstrations about the energy use of our data centers. I guess our online world is too fragile to moan about that. But AI, not only because of what it can do in other ways, but actually the processing needs of AI, which seem to sort of, double hourly, from 2 to 4, 8 to 60. It goes up very quickly when you're doubling like that, and it just seems to be out of control. But a word of warning anyway, don't just worry about the AI itself, but worry about it possibly having a breakdown of its AI brain. I mean, if it can't get enough power, it's sapping the world's power,
Hmm.
and then it suddenly stops working. It's like the human brain. If it can't get the energy it needs, it sort of stops. And when the human brain stops, I'm sure you're very well aware of what happens.
Yeah.
So maybe AI will be a self-destructive beast. I'm not going to dwell on that, am I? I'll be here all night. Back to the skullghost.com, in fact, for the next one. Um, the Ghost Howls, as it's actually called. Why is he going back to that? That's more like it. Okay, yeah, it's looking at the Maze VR concerts, just a review, basically. And a performance by Zara Larson, who I don't really know who the hell she is, actually. God, I used to know every musician going. Well, she's probably not a musician, she's probably a female crooner, dancer, or something. Anyway, Amaze concerts are available on Meta Quest and also on Steam VR. And it's a Korean company. And Tony Vittillo decided to jump in there and see what it's like. And I'm just trying to figure out. Well, I mean, he approved basically. This is a review, but I mean, as he normally does, he sort of goes into sort of a lot of background detail about it. But if you're interested, it's well worth a read. He actually stresses they're not CGI concerts like the Ariana Grande one on Fortnite was, or the concerts Meta is doing inside Oculus venues with which are videos. Um, it's an actual virtual environment, as far as I know. I haven't tried it myself, so maybe I should
Hmm.
re-download whatever platform I need. Anyway, find out more about that at scarghost.com. The same as the WePeak address, in fact, SKARREDGHOST.com. And moving down. Uh, right. This is a site called Politico.com, P-O-L. I can't even remember my glasses. It gets hard here,
Oh
doesn't it?
no. Okay.
Politico.com. Right. Europe's agenda for not the metaverse. Which is rather odd sort of title when you think about it. They've European Commission has unveiled its initiative for virtual worlds earlier in the week, laying down some proposed guidelines and regulatory concerns for the next evolution of the 3D internet. Uh, After several months of winding up, this initiative has now sort of begun. You'll be able to click. There's plenty of links here to click through to as well. They're the first global player to propose such an ambitious roadmap, and and yeah, um, that doesn't actually make sense. But anyway, referencing Meta and Apple, of course, like that. Uh, right. Oh yeah, they want to start with a new name. I concur. Many now resist the term metaverse after the company formerly known as FU, four-letter word, named itself to recapture that four-letter word buzz. Rival tech giant Apple used its long-awaited headset launch to try and popularize the phrase spatial computing. which is actually not a new phrase at all, but it is probably the more accurate, certainly more accurate than uh, any fanciful M words. Right. Anyway, this is quite a bit of a roundup here, really, of or, the legislation that's proposed, and basically the initiative for virtual worlds. So you can find this release at Politico, and I'm just going to quickly click on the link to the EU, and this is the EU Commission. Yeah, their site is ec.europa.eu. So ec.europa.eu. But I suspect if you want to find individual articles like this, you're better doing what I just did now, and that is following the link from, just what the press release sites or review sites. Okay. xrtoday.com, xrtoday.com, talking about digital twins, and they had an expert roundtable. Contrary to my wishes, it's not a video. It's a gab fest in good old-fashioned text, but it does mean you've got quite a lot to read if you want. As you can see, it goes down. It summarised what each person on the panel was actually talking about, and it's wide-ranging because obviously digital twins could mean twin cities or twin people. A sort of avatar could be your digital twin, or there could be an online version of London, which is a digital twin of London, for example. So it's digital twinning, if you like, is actually quite a broad spectrum of things. Right, okay, news at artnet.com. So news.artnet.com. And meow wolf. I presume meow wolf. Their newest permanent venue in Texas. That's this strange place with weird people in. Former presidents basically go to Texas, don't they? Anyway, it's a venue in Texas, and it's heightening the maximalist ambitions of the immersive art world and builders. Yeah, I've got to admit that does look like a scene from Second Life or something a bit. It's actually a real world picture, and I guess they've gone crazy on the optics and things when you're actually wandering around there. I think it's got a big space. Let's see, it's the Neon Kingdom, which is part of the experience, and the experience is called Real Unreal, and the location is Grapevine, Texas. Does Texas have a town called Grapevine? It must do. So there you go.
Certainly possible.
It's rather odd that Meow Wolf themselves laid off over half its staff in the early days of the pandemic, but they seem to be back on form. So with this and other things too. So you'll find this at news.artnet.com. And I've lost again. Oh, no, there we are. Right, just remove these things. I keep forgetting to remove these as I read them out, and then I think, oh, I've done that one already, haven't I? Okay, this is weforum.org. This is not the EU. This is the World Economic Forum, who, of course, have been going on about the metaverse for some time. They are actually sticking with the M word, which I think is a bit of a mistake, but there you go. I've got an article here on the social implications of the metaverse. Now, as I say, you can follow this from my link on Twitter. I'm sure it's there, or on Mastodon. And it will take you to the exact page you need. The address is weforum.org, and then it's in the /reports section. So if you type in reports, you at least will get a bit closer to finding the real thing if you can't find the direct link. Some more interesting reading, basically. Right. Okay, I'll move that one. Let's see here. Okay, we'll just take a fun little break first, and I'm going to move to a few offline videos we got to browse through here. This comes from, this is a bit off center, but I thought it was interesting. It's about 4 minutes actually, but it's talking about walking through a 3D simulation in the AWS, that's Amazon Web Services, Sim Space, it's called, or Sim Space Weaver is what they've got. And yeah, let's put this jump down to the beginning and we'll have a little play of it.
Hi, I'm Ritz, product manager for AWS. Simulating real-world systems at their real-world scale requires a significant amount of computing resources. Maybe you want to simulate rush hour traffic in a major city for emergency responders. Maybe you want to plan the best way to regrow a forest affected by climate change into a thriving ecosystem. Or any other scenario that involves large amounts of interacting objects. Simulating one of these objects on its own isn't very difficult. Take this vehicle, for example. To navigate through traffic, this car has to go from point A to point B along some planned route. But simulating just one car or 10 cars or even 100 isn't very realistic if you're trying to simulate a whole city. There are hundreds or thousands of cars on the road at once. There are also traffic lights, emergency vehicles, pedestrians crossing the streets with their furry companions. In trying to recreate the real world in your virtual world, you'll eventually reach a limit on how many things can simulate at one time. If the simulation gets too big, it might slow down or even stop. Simulations today are generally confined to running on a single computer. Unlike a web server or traditional database, simply adding more computers doesn't solve the problem. For starters, you'll have to figure out how to deploy all your infrastructure in a secure manner. Next, you need to figure out how to weave together the various pieces of your simulated world into one, so that objects can seamlessly move from one part of the world to the other. And finally, you need to somehow keep the entire simulation time synchronized. If not, the simulation falls apart. AWS SimSpace Weaver is a new service for building and managing large-scale spatial simulations in the cloud. To help me illustrate, Adam Villalobos, our lead software development manager, is going to join me as we jump into the simulation. We take a single instance simulation and parallelize it across multiple Amazon EC2 instances. SimSpace Weaver automatically provisions the requested number of resources. In this simulation, I'm an object on one of the instances and Adam has spawned in on another.
Even though SimSpace Weaver spatially divides your simulation, it still acts and behaves like a single seamless world. So not only can I see Ritz across the instance boundary, I can also interact with them. Here, catch.
Thanks, Adam.
When I crossed over the boundary, that transition was automatically managed by AWS SimSpace Weaver. Here, I'll cross back over too. The service also keeps both me and Ritz in time sync. When throwing him the ball, if he was behind in the simulation time, that would mean that the ball flies into the empty expanse.
So that means you have no excuse for bad aim.
Unfortunately, no, not that I need to. And this goes for all objects in the simulation, not just us. So even when you're simulating an entire city, everything in the simulation is actively reacting and responding to everything else in real time. And even though Ritz and I are close together, you can see and interact with objects anywhere in the simulation. So if you're an observer watching us from above, you can do that too.
Okay, Adam, so here's an important question. How do developers actually get started creating all of this?
Well, if you're using Unreal Engine or Unity, we've already built integrations that will get you started quickly. And if you have your own custom simulation engine, you can use our C++ SDK to start integrating. And SimSpace Weaver works locally for testing. So you can deploy your simulations at a smaller scale, even on your laptop, and test for free. When you're ready to scale up, move on over to the cloud. No need to rewrite any code.
We're so excited to finally bring the power of the AWS cloud to help developers scale their spatial simulations. We've built AWS SimSpace Weaver so developers can remain focused on creating cutting-edge simulation code and content without ever having to worry about the underlying infrastructure. We can't wait to see how developers like you will surprise us by expanding your spatial simulation capabilities with AWS SimSpace Weaver.
That's quite interesting in its way. A couple of years ago, I think it was, Linden Labs, the famous first virtual world there, started moving all Second Life's regions and stuff from their own servers to Amazon's cloud service, which is what you see here, AWS. I don't think, unfortunately, they've been able to take advantage of what was being indicated there. For example, if you're crossing from one region, which will be on one server, into another server in Second Life, it is not as seamless as that guy hopping across the band. And yeah, and the kind of lag in Second Life is probably worse than it's ever been. Sorry, Lyndon, it's the truth, right? But anyway, that I found quite interesting, because that is clearly a service they're offering all over the place. And crucially, at one point they mentioned there that if you are building virtual worlds or anything like that, or game or whatever, in Unity or in the Unreal Engine, they've already set it up for you. So whatever you do in those engines will be compatible with what did they call it again? Here we go. Sim Space Weaver.
Okay.
Yeah, why not Space Weaver? Why do we have to have Sim Weaver? I don't know. It might be a Dream Weaver, but never mind. Never mind. That's their product, really, or they're pitching there. Sim Space Weaver. Anyway, moving along and moving actually into Second Life. Now, if you have a look on the screen here, what you see is something. If you use Second Life or OpenSim or any of these things, you will probably think that looks a bit familiar, because if you ever want to look at the map, that's the sort of thing you see. You also normally see, and a bit closer up at any rate, loads of green dots. And if you see a cluster of green dots, it means there's lots of people at that location. If you can't see many green dots or not at all, it means it's a pretty empty area at that given point in time. But what's happened here, and the reason I'm showing this, I haven't seen this done before, but what's actually happened is, just as the same way in OpenSim, you can create a mesh, well, a raw file, right, which is like a map of terrain, and then you can apply that in World, and it becomes a sort of terrain mesh, with elevation and all the rest of it. And that's for individual regions, or maybe even something as big as a 5x5 VAR file. But what this chap has done is he's actually made a terrain model in kind of real life 3D, if you like, of the Heterocera
continent.
Continent, yeah, in Second Life. And this basically is the way that entire continent looked back in June. And now this is just great. I love it. It's different, so different. I don't think there's any music on this as well. So
it's a video. Okay.
Yeah, it's very quick. But he's taken the map, and he hasn't just zoomed in or whatever. He's actually elevated that whole continent into a mesh that could have technically, I suppose, be based on a big enough surface somewhere as your own continent.
You know, at my old house.
And of course, this spans multiple servers, I'm not sure how they do it. I mean, it's quite possible the terrain exists on every server that overlaps the terrain, or their individual parcels and stuff tend to be on different servers. But I don't know. It's just, I was looking at that and just thought, I've never quite seen the Second Life or OpenSim map in that way before. And I rather wish you could go to the map and, like Google Maps, you can switch to 3D mode and pan around. Maybe Linden Labs will do it. I doubt if OpenSim will. But, okay, and actually, this one is OpenSim. Come to think of it, I think, yeah, this is a LED immersion sphere actually built in OpenSim, but there's 10 minutes of that. That's actually for another program, so I'm not showing it here. Right, there is a world, another world called New Glue. Well, actually, it's not. It's called Glue, and this is a welcome to your new Glue home. every time I see this now, it just looks familiar. Isn't that 7.9? Isn't that OpenSim? Isn't that somewhere else? You know, um, they're not showing anything off there that makes me think, wow, new world. You know, superior this, superior that. Well, I'm afraid there's nothing there to see, really, is there? Okay, and finally, I've got another video here for you from none other than the Scarred Ghost. Do we want the music again? Let's see. If this is silent, we'll just keep playing the sound effects, but
We
it's actually
could.
not. It's about 6 minutes actually, and I don't think I'll show it all. But I did mention recently that Ultra Leap have released the Leap Motion 2. I actually found my old one the other day. It's no longer plugged in. I actually used the connector to for a touch screen instead of the Leap Motion. But anyway, Skull Ghost did do an unboxing, so we'll have a look at a bit of this. I'll probably skip forward part way through, but you get the idea.
Hello everyone, Fontani, the Sky Ghost. Today I'm here with this package from Ultraleap, and I'm very curious to open it. Actually, I think I have the suspect of what's inside because I already tried to steal a sensor at the Ultraleap brand, at Ultraleap booth in AWE. So let's open this fantastic sensor package together. So here you have the package. It's fragile, so to be
Right, this bit I'm moving forward. I want to see the thing that's inside.
open.
If this was an Apple product, it'd probably be a work of art getting it open. But I mean, this is just a box, isn't it? So can we look at the
So there
Ultra Leap?
is a secret message for me that I won't read to you because I guess I will move while reading. So I'm moving the boundaries between the digital and physical worlds. Ultraleap. So I always love when they write me a message with the handwritten. It means that the people at the company really care about me. So thanks, Ultraleap people. So this is, I don't know, something that flies. Then we have stickers. Stickers, Ultraleap stickers. I like this one. Let's put them here. So these are not to be thrown away. They're so cute. Then we have a t-shirt. I already stole one at AWE. I have now a new t-shirt.
Eventually we'll get to the box. Go on.
So I love this gift. And there are two things inside. So let's start on this. XR headset mount for Leap 2. I guess this is ultraleap.com, blah, blah, blah. Here, ultraleap.com, everywhere. So let's open the mount. Bam. So here it is explained how to use it. And let's take it out. So here we have a cable, USB-C to USB-C. Okay, that's cool. And here we have the mount, which is this one. I guess it's not easy to give contrast to it in the camera. So here it's adhesive tape, I can remove this and attach to the headset, and here there is the mount. It looks a bit 3D printed, so I don't know how well you can see it. Let me try to zoom to focus. You see the plastic doesn't look super refined. Seems a bit 3D printed. So it's interesting. It's a bit rough, but it's okay. And I'm not so sure I want to touch something adhesive on my headset, but let's see. And nothing more. So this is finished. Let's put it here. And now let's start the show. So while I show this box, the start of the show is the Leap show. So this is light. Oh, there are two things. Another cable and the Leap show. So let's start from the cable. So okay. So I don't know what I was expecting. There is a cable from USB-C to USB-C. So it seems to me that people love to have USB-C to USB-C cables. Appreciate that. But jokes apart is a sense. So this is to connect the lip to your headset. So very little cable. This, I guess, is to connect the lip to your PC. So longer cable. Makes sense. And now it's time for the final
Finally.
thing, the ultimate little package. So, bam, dun, 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 bam. That's it. I don't know what I was expecting more in the package.
Yes, just
There
what I
is
was
just the
expecting.
sensor. There is nothing more. And it's super small. Like I saw it in AWE. This is really small. This is a customer sample. So free for me. Thanks to fellow people. USB-C, port for the USB-C, which is the greatest passion for Charlie people. This is
Okay, well, I'll pause it there. The great reveal has happened. It actually looks very much like the Magic Leap 1. It's just roughly the same size. The connectors at the side instead of on the end of the long bit. But that's all it was. And obviously, the software, there are a lot more sensors in the product now. And the software that you use with it enhances it even more. You know, it's like, it combines all the different sensors to do different things, and apparently it's a lot more accurate. Considering the size of the package, I mean, that is quite literally it. The Magic Leap 1 came with that, an earlier version of that, and a lot. It actually came with 2 cables, but I think that was back in the day when they weren't quite sure what connector you'd have. The other part of the package is obviously pretty much the same thing. It's the fitting to put on your helmet. This, the little plastic thing he was playing with, is the holder for this. So they basically either put the holder on your helmet and put this into it there and plug it in there, or you plug it into your PC and use that as on screen. Flip your hand, and the easiest thing you can do with it is get open one of those PDF flipbook sites where you've got like issue or something. You just flip to the left, flip to the right, and it senses what you're doing, and you flip through the pages on screen, just like you would a real book. And in virtual worlds, the same sort of thing. You can do a pull toward you gesture or a move away from you gesture, and it's sort of well, it might push your field of view away or bring it closer. But the settings you can apply, given all the sensors that are operating in it, are myriad indeed. So that's there's a little snippets.
Yeah, Mel, were you drifting from your microphone in distance?
Oh, possibly.
Okay, yeah, because it got very, very muddy. It was very hard to hear.
Oh, I can't get it right, can I? Yeah, I don't know, it wasn't. Well, I was looking into the screen a bit more than leaning back reading.
Okay.
If something's hard to see, I lean forward a bit too far because my glasses are
I got it. Okay.
a set zoom, so to speak, and they're new, these ones. They're not, but enough of that. Right. Okay. So I'm coming back to where was I? Here we are. Let's finish the rest of the web links before I move back into a bit more video from the Mastodon feed. Social implications of the metaverse. Right, we did that one, didn't they? Okay, We Forum again. World Education, World Economic Forum again, asking, could the metaverse be more trustworthy than the current internet? If they're trying to be optimistic, I'm afraid I disagree. I worry that they'll try and turn what they're calling the metaverse into the chaos that the current internet is. I mean, more and more I keep thinking back to sort of, I don't know, 1995 or something, 25 years ago, and not the birth of the internet as we know it, not even the birth of the World Wide Web, but the dream, the motivation behind it, what we all thought it would be then, and now contrast that to the nightmare it's become now. Anyway, this is an article on World Economic Forum written by Kathy Lee, who's now she's data and metaverse, the head of AI data and the metaverse at the Executive Committee on the World Economic Forum in Geneva. So she's written a little article on that very topic. Interesting, as I say. It's a shame we're seeing so many of these articles raising questions now that really should have been raised, and actually in some ways were many a decade or more ago. But anyway, you'll find out weforum.org, weforum.org, and moving down xrmust.com, xrmust.com. And it's a cursory thing really. The Venice Immersive sort of festival is coming up, and end of August and 9th of September. And this is the complete lineup they've actually released. So I thought, well, that's worthy of a plug or two, isn't it? If you're anywhere near Venice at the end of August, beginning of September, it's you'll be held there. It's supported by HTC Vive and VR Chat. It's the 80th Venice International Film Festival, and Venice Immersive is like a functional, self-contained section of the film festival. And yeah, well, as you can see from my scrolling, lots of information in the lineup there. So you better really sort of, if you feel like you might be popping in there or something, you can check this out to get the whole thing. As I say, this is at xrmust.com, and it's actually, if you do a backslash, it's in a section called XR Magazine. So if you backslash XR Magazine when you get there, you probably have this article pretty much in front of you. Okay, moving down the list again. Making a metaverse that matters. Well, yeah, but it's interesting. A lot of today's things are, what can we do with this metaverse thing? Or as well as get rid of the M. Burns James Atloud, otherwise known as Hamlet Orr in Second Life, he has a blog called New World Notes, and he's interviewed here at VentureBeat by Dean Takahashi. So you'll find this at venturebeat.com. And again, if you're on the backslash, the section, it's just called Metaverse, and you probably find it there. Obviously, he reflects on Second Life too, but the interview they did with him is obviously aimed at covering more than just Second Life. So that the GameSpeed Summit will be happening before long. I forget exactly when, but this is I think they gave. Oh, hang on a second. I'll just do a quick check here. Oh no, this was last. Well, it's actually this year's, but last year, if you see what I mean. Right. Okay. So they do various articles and things like this, which are considered to be part of their the summit. Right. Anyway, quite an interview here. Hang on. Okay, yeah, the interview is actually, you can listen on Spotify. I think I've put the link to this as an embed on the Mastodon feed too. Anyway, but it's dated July 19th, which is just a couple of days ago, navigating the metaverse. And yeah, okay. This is just under podcasters Spotify. Oh, this is interesting. I remember when I got here, actually, I did. I tried to put a link to it as a favorite on Spotify. And it moved to my Spotify account, but it didn't register it because apparently the Spotify for podcasters is a kind of different operation than Spotify, which meant I couldn't just sort of add it. I have to add it on Spotify Podcasters, not Spotify. It's, I don't like the way some of these companies are messing us around. Oh yes, and they're putting their prices up this week, I believe. It might just be in the USA for now, but I'm only a matter of days before it comes to the UK, I'm sure. Right. Okay. So anyway, that is interesting. So check that out at VentureBeast and follow the links as you will. xrtoday.com again, xrtoday.com. This article is on metaverse avatar creation and how to create a metaverse avatar. It's only a beginner's guide, as it were, but actually this is reader mode. I don't think we're going to see the pictures here. Yeah. Legless, legless VR or not? Good place to start. Full body avatars, cartoon avatars. She looks at Meta's Avatar Maker, Microsoft Mesh, spatial metaverse avatars, Bitmoji avatars, Ready Player Me avatars, the future of the metaverse avatar, etc., etc. And if I can, stop it. Um, I can't get out of reader mode. Oh, hang on, there we are. Right, yeah. So as you can see, if you go to the article on the web, it's illustrated. Oh, I thought there were more pictures than that. Okay, there's only one illustration at the top there. I thought she had illustrations of each of the types of avatars she's talking about, but maybe it should just suffice with one. Anyway, if you're looking to make an avatar and things like that, or know about the different kinds of avatars you can have, avatar for beginners roundup, as it were, there. Right, so xrtoday.com yet again. This is their highlight thing. I don't know what they've, because I've all my links are mixed up this week. I think this was yesterday or Friday at least. Big XR news for Microsoft, Meta, Siemens, and Mozilla, and it basically rounds up all the stuff of the last week, more or less, for you to read. And you'll find this at xrtoday.com, xrtoday.com. And on the same track, we're used to this one at Forbes.com. If you can get through, which I did this week, text to episode, Gen AI, Futureverse, raised its money, Apple, GTP, etc. This is Charlie Fink's actually written end of the week column. Obviously covers the Writers Guild of America because of their, the scriptwriter connections there. And that's been bringing a halt to quite a thing anyway. A lot of stuff in Hollywood, in fact, showrunners, creators and stuff. There's a new thing called showrunner technology, which I must say looks absolutely remarkable, and there's no wonder they're scared shitless of it. Even the Hollywood does not want it to get anywhere near the public. It's too dangerous. I'm sure if they could find a way of keeping it away from the public, they'd use it for themselves, but it's the usual thing, isn't it? Right. New programs from Meta. Apple working on their own GPT, of course, which one thinks might be a bit more safer than the others, but I wouldn't bank on it because of what it is, really. Anyway, general sort of roundup there from Charlie Fink. And this week in XR is also a podcast, he says. Well, would you believe it? My Mastodon feed with all the major videos of the week. I don't mind, of course. Right, most recent on this list, 2107. Yeah, this would have been Friday. Actually, I think there have been a few more since. I'm not actually sure where they are. This is weird. Am I near the bottom or the top here? Wednesday 19. Oh, it's working from recently going back. Okay. Well, the Games for Change Festival have had live streams 3 days during this week. They've, I mean, this is strictly about games, but of course it is common technology with the metaverse. And when they come to issues of ethics and safety and stuff like that, then when they're discussing about, I don't know, say child safety in a game, they're also talking about child safety in the virtual world by default. A virtual world may not be a game, but the mechanisms, the engines that run them, the issue of safety will be and how it can be applied will be the same for the virtual world as a game. Come Thursday, we had the VR Crewcast, which is this one where they all the people from the different places.
It does. It feels professional.
It does almost.
It feels like everyone's in the know.
They're there having a gab anyway. You'll notice the guys from Between Realities are there, and a couple of other well-known game virtual world podcasters. Coming down the list, day 2 of is that day 2 or day 1? I think that's day 2. There's one for each of the 3 days anyway. The Games for Change Festival. And also happening this week was the Gatherverse Fathom Summit. Gatherverse, I kept on thinking it's another platform, and it sort of is, but it's in their talks and stuff, they cover all sorts of things. In day 1 here, they're talking about fashion, art, technology, humanity, open source music, and everything else. And basically, you get lots of speakers who are coming on air. Well, they're not actually speaking there. That was the introduction, but you get various.
You will not find Via Spiga, Prada, and Gucci avatars running rampant on our screens today. But you will find those that are experts when it comes to these discussions.
And so on and so forth. Interesting. Listen, I think there was. Okay, this is another part of the same thing. It's not so much a day 2. It's just another aspect of it. Talking about immersive intelligence. And again, this is well over 3 hours here. So if you want to listen to this stuff, it's, you've got to be in for the afternoon kind of thing. Or the evening. Or the morning. Or indeed stay up overnight. It's up to you, really, isn't it? But interesting stuff, looking ahead to the future, really. This is last week's show. Gosh golly. I do apologise, but it went, along with everything else getting posted to Twitter and stuff, it went a bit haywire earlier in the week, and it wasn't until, it's about Wednesday or Thursday before I realised that it had never gone up to the right place.
Oh, okay.
This is actually midweek when I finally got it into the right place again. I think I don't know whether we're blaming Musk or Windows. So actually, that would be, well, basically it's the transition from Mastodon to Musk, and Musk doesn't like me, and neither does Suki, because they won't give me an Instagram account. I'm banned, so I can't have a Threads account. And Mal Burns Writer's account at Twitter is blocked. And my other 2 Twitter accounts, whenever I try to post to them, it just says you're not authorized to do this. But the cross posts are working. So Wise accepts a cross post from Mastodon into my Mal Burns account. Whereas if I actually click the normal button saying tweet this, it says you're not allowed to do that. I don't know what they're doing. We'll see. I think after 17 years of being a beta tester and everything else, it may finally be time to say goodbye to Twitter. And it will be a real shame, because my Twitter feed has kind of always been the heart of everything I've done for nearly 2 decades. Since it began, it's evolved, and it's not conversational to a small group anymore. It's broadcasting out to a much larger group. But what can you do when some spoilt twat has got enough money to waste to buy something just to destroy it? But there you go. Right, sorry, moving down the list. Okay, so again, this is later in the week, 15th, the latest edition of F Reality. It doesn't have much to do with Indiana Jones. I think they just took the opportunity there to
Our radio stars.
Create some clickbait as a thumbnail.
Clickbait, yeah, that's the word. Right. I'm not on the ball today. Thank you, James.
All right.
You should interrupt more often with your thoughts as we go, kind of thing.
I don't know.
Yeah, not doing that, are we? Okay, Between Realities, as well as being on the big the big congregation show a minute ago. They were up today this week. Ashley Riot. That's a nice name, that. Ashley Riot. Reminds me of that cartoon character.
What is our tagline? It's the VR podcast from the philosophical gamer's perspective. Yeah, that's us.
Something like that.
Okay, that's okay. I can live with that. Right. So they're talking about blurring realities, transformative and therapeutic powers of VR. And of course, they've got Ashley Riot there from Andromeda Entertainment as well to cheer them up a bit, I guess. I don't should cheer anybody up, I think. Hey, moving on down the list, and of course, again, only a couple of days ago, I did say they're in a bizarre order this week. This is Saturday the 15th. Oh, hang on. Okay, something's weird here. I'm winding up. We are on the 23rd, aren't we? So, okay, I'm further down than we should be. Okay, I think. Well, there's definitely been a new one since. Yeah, Friday. Okay, Friday the 21st. It's only showing me one entry, and I'm absolutely sure there's more. So yeah, I must apologise, folks. There is certainly a couple of new entries in this list that don't appear to be here. I've got Thursday's videos, quite a few of them, and I've got Fridays, but I haven't got yesterday or today. And I think there was one yesterday, but Friday would have been the latest of the Charlie Fink ones, and for some reason it doesn't seem to have shown up in the place where it should have done. And unless it's gone to the text version too. Okay, this is all stuff that we've already discovered in that did get to Twitter, I think. We had these up a minute ago. Thursday. Huh. Yeah, any, yeah. Okay. So these start from Monday. Monday, there's 4 here from Monday, then 2 from Tuesday. Okay. Okay, I can't really tell you here. It looks like some stuff may have just gone missing from the latter part of the week. This is actually the Mastodon feed itself we're looking at. So it's definitely not the Musketeer stabbing me in the back, sparring with me with his musket. Oh dear. Okay, trying to, yeah, I'm flicking around here. There's nothing I can do. They're all it's all stuff that there are feeds here, but they're incoming feeds from all over the place, and I can't even. July 15th. Okay, these are actually incoming feeds that I've saved for some reason. But anyway, a quick note here really is I'm actually working on different ways of covering the stuff on screen with this and other shows. In fact, simply going through a Twitter feed is no longer an option. And going through a Mastodon feed might involve going through multiple Mastodon feeds and making sure everything's actually arrived in the right place. I'm a great user of IFFT and the other one, which I can't remember, which you can create robots to post from one place to another, etc. And my IFTT robots, I have one that sends the both the Mastodon feeds to the Mal Burns Twitter feed, and some of them have worked, and some of them haven't. Whether it's Twitter seeing, oh, this is forwarded from Mastodon, we're not going to allow that up, or whether it's, well, but then again they let one through, then they don't let the next one through. I really don't know what they're doing, and I hate to say that because, as I said earlier, everything is centered on Twitter. It has been for nearly 2 decades. So That really messes things up, but we will find some new solutions, I'm sure. And maybe do some inset interviews and things like that, so there'll be insets to the show can be prepared in advance of the main thing. We will see what we'll see, but for now, I think we've reached the point of all dunny-dun-duns.
Oh, okay.
Oh, says James in Hollow. I didn't miss anything. I got the offline videos in. We had to look at the Mustard and Feed, and we had to look
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
web pages. So yes, we've done a lot.
Okay.
Even though there were quite a few there, I don't think we've been too long at it. So any thoughts arising in your wonderful mind, James, from the aforementioned bits and pieces?
No, it's I mean it's quite a fascinating thing to watch, the changes at Twitter, and I feel terrible that it's causing you such distress and frustration, but that must be true for everybody.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, so many people went to Threads because most people, I don't think, had a problem getting an Instagram account.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I've got a Facebook account, but you know, and when I go to Instagram, it says it goes log in with Facebook, and then it says you can't come in.
Yeah,
Okay.
my Instagram account never liked my Facebook account, but I
No,
didn't really care.
No, neither did I until recently.
Right.
It would have been nice to have got a Threads, but as I said, the news, you know, in the last couple of days, statistics have been coming out. It's they got millions of people, you know, probably because of Twitter and everything going in, but a lot of the essential things people had liked in Twitter are actually missing. And apparently 75% of the people that signed up for Threads have abandoned it already.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, you know, I suppose the remaining 25% are, you know, Instagram or Facebook, you know, people, you know, who will take whatever.
Well, now, as I read the news, there seems to be a rather strong political bent to those that are remaining on Twitter, and that's not something that I would want to participate in.
Depends how you take Musk, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he did allow Trump back, didn't he? Which, I mean, Trump saying, what's it, Truth Social is falling apart. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, of course, Twitter has a new CEO now. I mean, appointed, obviously, by Musketeer owner.
Mm-hmm.
But every day they do something else that, you know, that fails to make sense.
Boggles the mind. Yeah.
And as I say, as a user, it is just, you know, I can't think of a parallel because, you know, this is you know, it was one of the first of its kind things in the online world of the last couple of decades, as indeed, I suppose, was the Fastbook. And, you know, they've even, you know, little things like Google, you know, where for about 10 years they had the subtitles saying "Do no evil."
Mm-hmm.
And so
That's long gone, right?
Yeah, then they got rid of that, and then
Mhm.
of course they created Alphabet and made Google a subsidiary, and then at another point in time they bought YouTube, which is now a subsidiary of Google, which is a subsidiary of, you know, Alphabet, and yeah, even really, it's really funny reading about this EU legislation. You know, Facebook are being fined almost daily by the EU. And they've had a few fines from Britain too, independent of the EU, because we're not EU anymore. I just guess they're kind of floating through it. But what is actually funny is when they're talking about the legislation, they actually refer to Facebook, Twitter by name, and Google by name. They don't actually they don't actually ever talk about Alphabet, which of course is the parent company. And well, of course they do talk about Meta now, which is the parent of Facebook. But yeah, and then if I don't know, maybe there's some out where if basically Musk has said the logo's going out of all the birds.
Yep.
And there will be a new name.
And I think I heard it's going to be X.
That's it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I read something this morning about X.
X.
I can't see. You know, the little hand thing where you a symbol when you like something. Well, imagine you've got a symbol which is an X. It's like, cross it out, please.
Yep.
Don't like it. Don't like it. It just feels like he's being paid by somebody a gigantic amount of money to buy up Twitter with that money just to destroy it. Maybe Zuckerberg is paying him. I mean, Zuckerberg is probably one of the only ones that probably got a competing amount of money. Still, I just don't know. But I do despair of the way the internet has become over the years, and our virtual worlds. To me, a place you can go and get away from all that stuff, and even that's not true now. I mean, I will no doubt look at my feeds from Second Life, particularly later tonight. And there'll be loads of videos posted because there's all these churches in Second Life that hold their daily Sunday sermons, and I cringe and I think, that reeks of people in a world that, the virtual environment sort of get away with. And the same with politics. Great place to have a book club or even a debating society, but that was then. Now, something that is can be purporting to be a debating issue can actually be a propaganda issue. They're very subtle with it, you can have an even-handed debate depends on the moderator, and the moderator can subtly favor one side, and it's an easy thing to fall into as well, which is
It's like a Black Mirror episode.
Oh, it's worse than that.
We're living it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, we just have to start a new show called
called what?
Called the weekly.
Like a death watch.
Brown stuff flying.
Okay. All right.
This week in brown stuff flying. There you go.
Yeah.
Or something. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, we do have the Hypergrid Internet National Expo, so that's good to look forward to.
Oh yeah, and there's that's an OpenSim Festival party thing in that going on too, and then there'll be OpenSim Community Conference probably in December.
Yep.
Not yet announced, but I'm sure that'll be around at that time.
Yep.
And it's you got to go somewhere to get away from the IRL now, really. The only good thing is when I see, some of these tech people, who are deliberately moving off into tangents that are focused on welfare and doing good and contributing to society and environmental change and this sort of thing, So there is stuff tangential there going on, but it just seems to me that the big players now, the tech corporations are now the giant corporations. They're bigger than any of the old giants,
Yep.
Because the old giants were, Ford motor cars, they were motor cars. It was Ford, huge. And the big BP and other petroleum companies and things and cigarette companies, they are actually huge, but they've always been more or less within the framework of their expertise and things. They've just been the biggest of the biggest and get bigger and incorporate. But the tech companies are actually diving into all these other areas that other people used to use. They're just buying them into their own technological visions, and unfortunately the visions of the overlords are probably not anything to do with the people anymore. So we'll see. I'd actually love to see, I don't think it would ever happen, but it'd be nice to see something like YouTube to sort of cast off by itself out of Google again.
Wow.
But I'm sure there's no going back.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, right. Well, if that's all your thoughts, triggering mine, of course.
Oh, that's plenty, right?
Yes, exactly. I think we can call it quits for this week. Hopefully, when we will be back same time, same place next week. Whether my desktop is in any better shape, and whether my Twitter account, all my Twitter accounts will have disappeared completely. The big problem, by the way, and I will mention this here on the off chance some of you watching the show are in a position to do so. One of the big problems I have with the idea of giving up Twitter completely is not well, I can launch Mastodon feeds and then do my best to publicize them, but how do you get, all week I've been figuring how can I write an editorial on the blog and get it posted to my followers in Second Life? Because they follow me through Mal Burns Writer, which is another Twitter feed. I can't do it because unless I can post to a Twitter feed like read this, I can't tell them what's happening. So they'll just think I'm dead or, got ill or gone on holiday. They don't know because my Twitter feed for Second Life, believe it or not, despite this show, is my biggest, most popular Twitter feed. I only tweet arts and destinations and things, but every morning I look at all the feeds I've got and I separate out the ones I want to tweet, and the ones that have got to go to Mal Burns Writer are the biggest lot. The ones for Mal Burns are the second biggest, and the ones for OpenSim or Meta World News are the third biggest. But the news, where to go, places to see, and arts to look at, kind of thing, is the theme of my Second Life one. And for the last week, I haven't been able to tell anybody what to do. They're probably thinking, "Oh, that's great. Mal Burns is not telling us what to do." Sweet. But yeah, if anybody out there watches this as well and is aware of that situation, do spread the word that unfortunately it's the musketeer that stabbed me in the back, not myself. And it does look like Mal Burns Writer is now extinct, well, except as a Second Life avatar, which is not fully extinct.
Yeah, the page is still there. I can browse to it, but you can't post to it. Interesting. The last post was July 17th. All right.
Yeah, it's over a week ago now. It was about this time last week. And the last couple of posts that did go there went through Mastodon to get there.
Ah, of course.
But it's the same with all of them. So at the moment, the Mastodon feeds are being allowed into Mal Burns, 2 of them, and 2 of them are going to Meta World News. But it's hit and miss. Just because I post it to Mastodon doesn't mean it automatically appears in Twitter. It should, but it may not. So anyway, any of you who still use Twitter and still get into it, etc., do spread the word, in the back channels. Just tell them if they're looking for Mal Burns Writer, you're better off with checking the main feed or something like that, or looking me up on Mastodon. If you want me on, I'm going to quickly give you. I can't print these in, but I can.
Should we do that next week?
Yeah, basically, I'm known as Mal Burns, one word, at moth.social. And that is where I post all the stuff that would normally be posted by Mal Burns Writer on Twitter. So that address, basically, it's moth.social / Mal Burns or something, but it reads here as Mal Burns at moth.social, so because the reader treats it like email. And I'm also MetaWorld at opensimsocial.com. I'm also Mal Burns at OpenSimWorld. That's opensim.world. I'm MetaWorld at MeDM, as in medium. I am MetaWorld at Mastodon Social. That's the video feed you're used to. And I'm also Mal Burns with a capital M and B as well for some reason at social.vivaldi.net. And that will tend to be the main one from now on because it's built into my browser and it's just marginally easier to post there than to any of the other ones. So, all changed, but yeah, hopefully you've got those. And we're off, aren't we, James? Finally?
Sure.
You're gonna pull the plug on me before I
don't do that.
Before I extend this show into.
I'll play the Pink Floyd clocks, but I won't pull the plug.
Of course, I keep forgetting about the. Okay, play this new outro we've been thinking about.
No, it's not an outro. It's an alarm. It's a warning. It's an emergency. All right.
Okay, folks, we've had it for now. The clocks are counting down, as you're about to hear. We will return same place, same time next week. Meanwhile, look after yourself, and if in doubt about the fires or the droughts or the floods or anything else, just stay indoors and immerse yourself in virtual space. There we go. Don, don, clank, clank, bon, 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 bon. Where is it? Where is it? Just a little bit of it before the... Ouch.